This morning, a live look inside the Carter Center, where former President Jimmy Carter is lying in repose. For decades, Carter's legacy has been one of peace, service, and compassion. Now a quiet repose at the Carter Center as his journey ends, yet his impact endures. As mourners gather to say goodbye, their hearts reflect on the life of a man who changed the world with kindness. Now, it will be an emotional week ahead as the focus will now shift to Washington, D.C.
That's right. Many people have at least one more day to pay their respects here in Atlanta. We have team coverage for you this morning as we continue to cover the state funeral for former President Jimmy Carter. Both 11 Alive's Karys Belger and Liza Lucas are at the Carter Center live for us this morning. Let's start with Liza. Good morning.
Good morning, Jonathan. Yes, more than 10,000 people have made their way to the Carter Center since Saturday evening for lying in repose. Of course, that process will continue until Tuesday at 6 a.m., so a little under 24 hours if you've not made your way here yet. But more than 10,000 people, as we said, have made their goodbyes, paid their respects. An Emory Law student I just spoke with off camera tells me that she woke up early. She saw the chance to come down here and did. And she says inside right now it's very solemn, it's very quiet, and she says it's very moving. And as you mentioned, we've seen people throughout the course of this week come up here to the Carter Center sign, come to the Carter Center to pay their respects from across all walks of life, all ages, really focused on remembering the great humanitarian that Jimmy Carter was, his life of service, the 100 years that he gave back not only to Georgia, but to this country and the world. Now, some we've spoken with have recounted very personal stories as the crowds come and go, but the takeaway overall, whether they knew Carter or not, is that there's an incredible love and admiration for the 39th president.
I just wanted to come up because my family and just to remember who Jimmy Carter was as the 39th president.
I wanted to come out today to bring my son. We wanted to pay homage to our former president, Jimmy Carter. He was such a great man, such an honorable president, and it just warms our heart to be able to be here to celebrate the memory of his life.
And we want to also recognize that families, people young and old, little ones in strollers have been coming through. Again, that public repose is going to continue until Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. Live at the Carter Center, Liza Lucas, 11 Alive News.
Thank you, Liza. As the people say their goodbyes, folks were seen overnight visiting the president's flag-draped casket at the Carter Center. You see members of the military remain still and quiet out of respect for the former president. A list of events are set up for this week. Saturday morning, we brought you live extended coverage as a motorcade carried the former president from his home in Plains, Georgia. This is where it all began. It made a stop at his boyhood home in Archery, Georgia, then traveled to Atlanta to the state capitol before arriving at the Carter Center. 11 Alive's Karys Belger, she joins us live from the Carter Center with a look at the schedule as the 39th president is set to leave Atlanta tomorrow morning. Karys?
Well, Ariana, the next step in this journey will begin tomorrow. There will be one final ceremony here at the Carter Center at 9, and then President Carter's remains and his family will make their way to Dobbins. Every detail of this meticulously planned, of course. They're expected to arrive around 12:45 in the afternoon to Washington, D.C. There, the late president's remains will be transferred to a hearse. He'll head to the Capitol after a brief stop at the U.S. Navy Memorial, where he will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda. That's where members of Congress will pay their respects. Now, the public can pay their respects after that. That's beginning at 7 p.m., and they can do so until Carter leaves for the final ceremony at Washington National Cathedral on Thursday the 9th. That will also be a national day of mourning. Throughout the weekend, we've heard so many tributes to President Carter, the most poignant probably coming from his family. Here's what his son Chip had to say over the weekend.
But he was an amazing man, and he was held up and propped up and soothed by an amazing woman. And the two of them together changed the world. And it was an amazing thing to watch from so close and to be able to be involved in. And I thank you for your service.
a feeling felt by his family and by so many others across the globe. And after leaving Washington, D.C., President Carter will make his way home to Georgia. There will be a final ceremony at Marantha Baptist Church, where he and Mrs. Carter taught Sunday school for years, before a final private burial. At the Carter Center, I'm Karys Belger, 11 Alive News.
Thank you, Karys. And you can stream extended coverage of Jimmy Carter's life and legacy right now on 11 Alive Plus and see more of that service that happened on Saturday. The app is free to download on your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV.